On Christmas Eve, my 7-year-old found a note from my parents. "We're off to Hawaii. Please move out by the time we're back." Her hands were shaking. I didn't shout. I took my phone and made a small change. They saw what I did and went pale. The first thing I heard was a whisper that wasn't really a whisper. "Mama, Mama, wake up." I cracked one eye open. My room was still dark, the kind of dark that means it has no business being morning yet. I grabbed my phone off the nightstand without even looking and squinted at the time. 5:58 a.m. Of course, because if you're going to have your life fall apart, it might as well happen before 6 a.m., while your brain is still buffering and your mouth tastes like regret. My daughter Grace stood beside the bed in her pajamas, hair sticking up like she'd slept inside a blender. Her cheeks were wet. Her little hands were clenched around a piece of paper like it might bite her. "What's wrong?" I asked, voice thick. I pushed myself upright, already scanning her face the way moms do, checking for blood, checking for fever, checking for, "Did you throw up somewhere?" She shook her head hard, like she couldn't get the words out. "Look," she whispered, and held the paper toward me with both hands. Her fingers were shaking. I took it from her carefully, like it was something fragile and sharp at the same time. My eyes moved over the handwriting, and I felt my stomach drop in slow motion. It wasn't a long note. It didn't need to be. "We're off to Hawaii. Please move out by the time we're back." That was it. No Merry Christmas. No love you. Not even a smiley face, which, honestly, might have been worse. I stared at it for a second too long, hoping I'd wake up and realize this was a weird dream brought to me by late-night cheese. Grace sniffed. "I found it on the table," she said, voice tiny. "I think it's from Grandma and Grandpa." My brain tried to scramble into the shape of logic. "Okay," I said slowly, because I was still half asleep and I needed a word to hold on to. "Okay, maybe it's a joke." Grace's eyes filled again. "Is Grandma mad at me?" "No," I said instantly. Too fast. Too sharp. I forced my voice down into something calm. "No, baby. This isn't about you." I didn't know that for sure yet. But I was not about to let my 7-year-old carry adult cruelty on Christmas Eve at 6 in the morning. I swung my legs out of bed and stood up. The floor was freezing. Of course it was, because the universe loves a theme. "Stay here," I told her gently. "Okay? I'm just going to look." Grace nodded, wiping her face with her sleeve like a tiny, exhausted accountant. I walked out into the hallway, and my chest tightened immediately, because it wasn't just quiet. It was emptier than quiet. No clinking in the kitchen, no TV murmuring, no footsteps, no voices, no, "Oh, I didn't think you'd be up this early," which my mom normally loved to say right before asking me for something. I went to the living room first, like maybe they were all sitting there waiting to surprise us. Nothing. I turned toward the entryway and my brain started doing inventory without permission. Yesterday, there had been suitcases lined up by the front door. My parents had been talking about sunscreen and passports. Now? The space by the door was blank. The hooks were nearly bare. No travel jackets, no dad's stupid vacation hat that he wears like it's a personality trait. I moved to the window that faced the driveway, the one where you can usually see my parents' car like a loyal dog. The driveway was empty. No car. No luggage. No nothing. For a moment my brain went, "Oh, okay." They left. Without me. Without Grace. They left. I stood there, staring out the window like the car might reverse back in if I looked hard enough. It didn't. I forced myself to breathe in slowly. Then I did what any person does when reality starts acting suspicious. I called. Mom first, straight to voicemail. Dad next. Voicemail. I called again, because denial is free. Voicemail. I went back to my room where Grace was still standing in the same place, like she hadn't moved a single inch since I left. She looked at me with the kind of hope that hurts. "Are they here?" she asked. I swallowed. "Not right now." Her face crumpled. She pressed her lips together hard, trying not to cry louder. My chest clenched again. "Okay," I said softly. "Hey, I'm going to call Aunt Bella, okay?" Grace nodded, but her eyes didn't stop shining. I stepped into the hallway so Grace wouldn't hear everything. Not because I wanted to hide things from her, but because some things aren't meant to land on a child's heart. I called my sister Bella. It rang twice. Then Bella answered like she'd been awake for hours, which, knowing her, was a personal insult. "Yeah?" she said. "Bella," I said, keeping my voice even. "Where are Mom and Dad?" A pause. Not long. Just enough to tell me she was checking whether she should pretend ignorance. Then she sighed, bored. "Oh, you found the note." My stomach turned. "You knew." "Obviously," Bella said. "We all decided." "We all decided," I repeated, because sometimes repeating insanity out loud helps your brain accept it. Bella sounded amused. "Jess, you're 31. I closed my eyes. "Bella." "No," she cut in, voice sharpening. "Seriously, you're 31 and you still live with Mom and Dad. It's embarrassing." My grip tightened on the phone. "I moved in to help you." Bella laughed once, like that sentence was cute. "That's not a real reason. You're an adult. You should have your own life." I looked down the hallway. Grace's door was still cracked open. I could hear the tiniest sound, sniffling. She was listening. I lowered my voice. "We were supposed to go to Hawaii together." Bella's tone turned lighter, like she was explaining an event cancellation at school. "It's adults only," she said. "We thought it'd be better. And honestly, this gives you time to move out in peace while we're gone. Less awkward, less drama." I stared at the wall. "Let me talk to Mom," I said. Bella exhaled, dramatic. "Fine." I heard movement on the line, then the click of speakerphone, then my mother's voice, bright and decisive, like she was announcing something helpful and normal. "Jessica," she said, as if I'd called to ask for a cookie recipe. "Hi." "Hi," I said, and my voice was quiet. "Is this real?" Mom made a sound like she was the one being inconvenienced. "Bella explained it. We thought it would be best." "Best for who?" I asked. "For everyone," Mom said quickly. "You can move out without us in your way. You can do it peacefully, and we can have a proper trip." "A proper trip," I repeated. "On Christmas. Without us." Mom ignored that. "You're an adult, Jessica." I breathed out slowly. "Grace found your note." Mom's voice softened just a fraction. "Oh, well, she'll be fine. She's with you." I felt my jaw tighten. "She's 7. "And you're 31, Bella snapped through the speaker, like she couldn't help herself. I swallowed down something bitter. "We already paid for the trip," I said. "We paid for our room." Mom's answer came too fast, like she'd rehearsed it. "That's fine," she said. "Bella's best friend wanted to come. There weren't extra rooms. We gave her the room." My head snapped up. "You mean Brooke?" "Yes," Mom said, pleased. "Brooke. She's been Bella's best friend since freshman year. She's basically family." The words hit like a slap. "She's family," I repeated slowly. Bella chimed in, smug. "She is. She's been there for me." I heard Grace's door creak slightly. I could feel her presence like a little shadow behind me. "So Brooke is family," I said, voice so calm it scared me. "But me and Grace aren't?" Mom's tone sharpened instantly. Don't say it like that. I almost laughed. Not because it was funny, because it was the kind of sentence people say when they know exactly what they're doing. What do you want me to do? I asked. Where am I supposed to go? You'll figure it out, Bella said brightly. You're an adult. Mom made that same dismissive sound again. You've had a cushy setup long enough. A cushy setup, I repeated, tasting the words. Bella went on, warming up like this was her moment. It's just, you living there is weird. You're 31. It's embarrassing. You're making us look... Look what? I cut in and my voice finally cracked. Like you have a single mom in the house who helped you pay for school? Is that what's embarrassing? Mom snapped, Jessica! Bella snapped, see? Drama. And in that moment, something inside me clicked. Not rage, not tears, just clarity. I didn't argue anymore. I didn't explain. I didn't plead. I said very softly, okay, noted. Then I ended the call. The silence that followed felt heavy. I walked back into my room. Grace was sitting on the edge of the bed now, face wet, hands tucked into her sleeves. She looked up at me like she'd been holding her breath the whole time. Are we in trouble? She whispered. My throat tightened. No, I said immediately, crossing the room in 2 steps and pulling her into my arms. No, sweetheart, we are not in trouble. She clung to me like she was afraid I'd disappear too. Are they kicking us out? She asked, voice shaky. Is it about me? Grandma doesn't want me there? I held her tighter. No, I lied gently, because the truth was too big and too sharp to put in a 7-year-old's hands. It's not about you. None of this is your fault. Grace sniffed. But it's Christmas. I know, I said, kissing her hair. And we're still going to have Christmas. I pulled back, wiped her cheeks with my thumbs, and forced my voice into steady. Listen to me, I said. We're okay. We're going to be okay. Grace nodded, but she didn't look convinced. I glanced down at the note again, then at my phone. I didn't cry. I took my phone. And I did something on it, quietly, carefully, without telling anyone. When they realized what I'd done, their lives started to unravel. To understand why I didn't beg or negotiate or try to talk it out like a normal person, you have to understand one thing. My family didn't become like this overnight. They'd just never been this blunt about it. I was an only child until I was 11, and I know how that sounds. Poor little only child. But I'm not saying it for sympathy. I'm saying it because when you're the only kid, you don't have a comparison chart. When it was just me, I thought my parents were decent. They weren't warm and fuzzy. They weren't the kind of parents who sat on the floor and played with dolls, but they fed me. They took me to school. They showed up. They were fine. I had nothing to compare fine to. Then Bella was born, and suddenly it was like my parents had been swapped out with a completely different set of adults who had apparently discovered joy, patience, and me. And money. All the things I wasn't allowed to do, Bella could do. All the money they didn't have when I needed something. Somehow, magically, money existed when Bella wanted it. And Bella wasn't just treated well. She was treated like a tiny royal. Her tantrums were big feelings. My emotions were attitude. Her messes were cute. My mistakes were careless. I remember watching it like a science experiment I didn't sign up for. And the most embarrassing part? I tried to explain it away. Because what else do? You don't want to believe your parents love your baby sister more than you. You don't want to look like the jealous older kid. So I told myself things like, they're older now, they're calmer, they learned from raising me, they're in a better financial situation. People change. I kept trying to make it make sense, and then I got assigned my role. Helper, third adult, built-in babysitter. I did diapers, I did bottles, I did watch your sister while I run errands, I did hold her while I cook, I did you're older, you understand. By the time I was a teenager, it wasn't can you help, it was you need to help. And as soon as I could work, I was contributing to the household. Not in a cute summer job spending money way, in a you live here too way. Bella never did. Bella was the investment. Bella was the future. Bella was the one who needed things. I was older. I was expected to manage, and I got used to it. That's the part people don't understand. You don't wake up one day and think, wow, I'm being treated unfairly. You wake up and think, this is normal. This is what families do. I went to community college nearby because that's what my parents said we could afford. No money for anything fancy, my mom told me, like she was doing me a favor by saying it gently. So I did community college. I lived at home. I worked. I kept my head down. I built a decent profession. I started making okay money. I married young. I had Grace at 24. And then, because life likes to keep things spicy, I got divorced around 3 years ago. I'm not going to turn this into a divorce story. That's not what this is. I'll just say it didn't work out. But here's what I didn't expect. After the divorce, life got good. I got my own apartment. It wasn't huge, but it was quiet. It was safe. It was just me and Grace. No passive-aggressive comments, no guilt, no being told I owed everyone my labor. For the first time in my life, I wasn't bracing for someone to demand something from me. And then my parents called. It started with that tone, the we're being reasonable tone. Bella had gotten accepted into a fancy university, not a community college, not the close-to-home option, a real one, an expensive one. And it required tuition and living away. Mom told me how hard it would be for Bella to afford it, even if my parents gave her what they could. Dad told me Bella might have to work too much. It would ruin her experience. And then the question came, wrapped in guilt and sugar. Can you help? I remember staring at my kitchen wall in my little apartment while Grace colored at the table. How? I said. I'm a single mother. Mom's answer was smooth. You could move in with us. Of course. Move back into the house I'd spent my adulthood trying to escape, so I could bankroll the child they loved more than me. We'll give you a big room, Mom said. We'll help with Grace. You'll save so much money on rent, and then you can use that money to help your sister. Bella's future. Bella's dream. Bella's everything. And I didn't want to. I want that on record. I didn't want to move back. I liked my peace, but I was primed for this my whole life. I'd been trained to help Bella, to sacrifice, to excuse. So I agreed. I moved in about 1.5 years ago, and I did what I said I'd do. Bella's university billed everything through one student account: tuition, student housing, and on-campus living costs. A private student loan covered part of that total. I co-signed that loan. Whatever the loan didn't cover, I paid directly. My card was on the university portal, and every month I covered the remaining balance. That was the deal. That was the whole reason I was there, and somehow, shockingly, they forgot that part almost immediately. Within just a few months, the story shifted. It became, Jessica is 31 and still lives with her parents. It became, we're helping you. You're lucky. It became, Bella calling me a leech, a loser, embarrassing. And my parents? They started acting like babysitting Grace in the same house was some heroic charity project, like Grace should be grateful they tolerated her. Grace felt it, not in big, obvious moments, in the little ones, the sighs, the I'm busy, the way Mom's smile didn't reach her eyes when Grace asked for attention. Grace started getting quiet around them. The same kind of quiet she had this morning with that note. And standing there on Christmas Eve, watching my daughter's hands shake because she thought her grandparents didn't want her. I realized something that made my stomach twist. This wasn't just about me anymore. This was about my child. And I wasn't going to teach her that love means begging to be included. Grace stayed upset for a while. Not the dramatic screaming kind. The quiet, wounded kind. The kind where she followed me from room to room like she was afraid if she let me out of her sight, I'd disappear too. I kept my voice light around her, even when my insides felt like they were vibrating. "Hey," I told her, brushing her hair back. "You know what?" She sniffed. "What?" "Moving somewhere just us?" I said. "That could actually be really nice." Grace's face scrunched up in confusion. "But Grandma's house—" "I know," I said. "But imagine a place where nobody makes you feel like you're in trouble for existing." She stared at me like I'd just offered her a unicorn. I didn't say anything else. I didn't want to dump adult rage into her little body. I just kissed her forehead and said, "We're going to be okay." Then I picked up my phone again. Because step 1 was feelings. Step 2 was logistics. And I'm very good at logistics. I started with Hawaii. I opened the booking confirmation in my email, found the charge on my banking app, and called the number on the back of my card. I told them calmly that my name was on the reservation and I wasn't the one using it. I froze the card, started the dispute, and made sure my payment info wasn't attached to anything they could keep accidentally enjoying. If my family wanted an adults-only trip, they could pay for it like adults. Then I went into the university portal, the same university account I'd been paying through every month. Tuition, dorm, meal plan. Everything bundled together, quietly pulling money from my account like a standing order I'd stopped noticing. Usually around $900 at a time. I removed my card from the payment page and shut off the automatic withdrawals. No announcement, no warning, just a few taps and a confirmation screen. I didn't tell anyone. I set my phone down, looked at Grace and said, "Okay, we're doing Christmas." Not the version my parents had decided for us. Our version. I called Lauren, one of the few mom friends I trust without needing to explain everything. She has a daughter Grace's age. They've been inseparable since kindergarten. She answered on the second ring. "Are you safe?" she asked. "Yes," I said. "But I need a Christmas rescue." There was a pause. Then her voice sharpened, instantly protective. "Bring Grace," she said. "Emma's going to lose her mind if she sees her. Come over. We'll figure it out." By mid-morning, Grace was sitting on Lauren's couch with a mug of hot chocolate like she belonged there. Emma shoved a Santa hat onto Grace's head like she was claiming her. Lauren's living room smelled like cinnamon and normalcy. No passive-aggressive sighing. No, "We're doing you a favor." No note on the table telling a 7-year-old she was unwanted. Grace laughed for the first time that day. A real laugh. The kind that makes your throat tighten because you didn't realize how much you needed to hear it. We spent Christmas with Lauren and Emma. We ate too much. We watched movies. We made jokes about how Santa probably needed therapy. Grace fell asleep on the couch with crumbs on her cheeks and a stuffed animal tucked under her arm. And for one day, I felt something close to relief. After Christmas, I moved fast, not recklessly, just decisively. I went straight to rental listings with one filter on, available immediately. There are more of those than people realize if you're not trying to impress anyone. I found a modest 2-bedroom that had been sitting empty for a few weeks. I showed up with everything landlords like to see: steady income, clean paperwork, no drama. I viewed it, applied that day, and a few days later I was handed the keys. By the end of the week, Grace and I were already sleeping somewhere new, and that's when I started packing what was actually mine. Apparently, "You live here too" meant furnishing the house. Within weeks of moving in, my parents had opinions. The couch was tired. The chair was bad for Dad's back. The coffee table didn't reflect us. So I paid $2,000 for a couch they picked, a chair that cost nearly a month's rent, a heavy coffee table no one needed but everyone admired. All of it on my card because I was being helped. They loved those pieces, used them daily, took pride in them, made jokes about how I should be grateful to sit on something so nice. When I moved out, I took every single thing I'd paid for, the couch, the chair, the table. The movers didn't ask questions. Neither did I. Grace watched the last piece come in and looked around our living room like she was seeing a future. "This is ours?" "Yes," I said. She smiled like she believed it. Mom called the day they got back. I almost didn't answer. Not because I was scared, because I wasn't sure I had the energy to hear my mother pretend she was the victim of her own decisions. "Jessica!" she barked the second I picked up. "What did you do to our living room?" "Hi to you too," I said. "The couch is gone," she snapped. "The chair, the table. Are you out of your mind?" "No," I said. "I'm out of your house." "You stole our furniture," she said. "We could call the police." "Please do," I said. "I can text you the receipts while you're on hold." She made a sound like she'd swallowed a lemon. "You're unbelievable. And you removed your card from Hawaii too. We paid it ourselves, just so you know. We don't need your charity." "Perfect," I said. Adults paying for their own vacation. Love a growth moment. "Don't get smart with me," she started. Click. She hung up. I stared at my phone for a second because the sheer audacity almost deserves applause. That was just the appetizer, though. The loud part. The easy part. The part they hadn't mentioned, the part that actually mattered, was still sitting quietly in Bella's student account, waiting to be noticed. It didn't wait long. About an hour later, Mom called again. Same name on the screen. Different voice. Not just angry this time. Worried angry. "Jessica," she said, and she skipped the warm-up. "What did you do to Bella's university account?" "What do you mean?" I asked. "Bella says her payment didn't go through," Mom snapped. "There's an email. A hold. She can't register for next term if this isn't fixed." I kept my voice steady. "My card isn't on the portal anymore." Mom went silent for half a beat, like her brain was rebooting. "You removed it?" "Yes." "You can't just punish your sister because you're upset with us," she said, clipped and righteous. "I'm not punishing her," I said. "I'm not paying for her." "She's your sister," Mom shot back, like that was a court order. "And Grace is my daughter," I said. "You left a move-out note where she could find it." "Don't change the subject," Mom snapped. "I'm not," I said. "This is the subject. You ended the deal. So the payments ended." Mom's voice rose. "Bella's loan was approved." "It was approved with me as cosigner," I said. "And before the next term, there's new paperwork for the next disbursement. Someone has to sign it." Mom's breath caught. "So sign it." "No," I said. A beat of silence. Then, "Jessica." "No," I repeated, calm and final. "Brooke is like family. Maybe Brooke can help." Mom sputtered. "That's not funny." "I didn't write the joke," I said. "You did." Click. I ended the call. Then Bella called, and Bella was not calm. "What did you do?" she demanded. "Did you sabotage my account? I got a message about the loan. It says there's paperwork. It says—" Her voice shook with anger. "What did you do?" I let her talk for a second. Let her burn herself out. Then I said, "I didn't sabotage anything." "Yes, you did," Bella spat. "This is you being bitter." "No," I said evenly. "This is you learning how your own life works." Bella went silent for half a beat. Then, "What does that mean?" "It means the school doesn't just sprinkle money on you like fairy dust," I said. "There's paperwork, every term, and someone has to sign for it." Bella's voice sharpened. "Mom said it was approved." "It was," I said. "For what already happened. What comes next needs a signature too." A beat. "And you're not doing it," she said, like she'd just reached the edge of something. "No," I said. "I'm not." Bella's breathing went tight. "You can't do that." "I already did," I said. "I'm not signing anything else." "But what am I supposed to do?" she demanded, and for a second it slipped. She didn't sound angry, she sounded scared. I kept my voice calm anyway. "The thing you told me to do. Be an adult. Figure it out." Bella went quiet. "And before you ask," I added, dry. "No, this isn't sabotage. Sabotage would have involved effort." "That's not fair," she shot back. I almost smiled. "Interesting. You didn't mention fairness when you were calling me a leech." "I didn't mean—" "Yes, you did," I said. "And you were right about one thing. I needed to live independently." I paused. Let it land. "So I am," I continued. "Which means I'm not funding your life anymore. I'm funding mine. And Grace's." Her voice sharpened. "You're ruining my life!" "No," I said. "I'm refusing to run it." "Jess?" "Goodbye, Bella." I hung up. A few days later, they showed up at my door. Mom, Dad, Bella. All three of them standing there like a team that had practiced being polite in the car. I didn't open the door. I spoke through it. "What do you want?" I asked. Mom's voice turned sweet. Too sweet. "Jessica, honey, can we talk?" "No, but I didn't say that yet. I let her keep talking because sometimes people reveal everything when they think they're being persuasive." Dad cleared his throat. "We just need you to listen." Bella's voice cut in, sharp. "This isn't funny." I almost laughed again. Bella had never been told no in her life. Of course she thought boundaries were a joke. Mom said, "We really need you to help your sister." There it was. "Bella can't get the loan without your co-signature," Dad added quietly. "And we can't co-sign." Mom rushed in. "Our credit isn't—" She stopped herself, then forced it out. "We can't qualify, and we can't afford to cover it ourselves." Bella snapped. "So just sign it." Mom did that same sugar voice again. "We all love each other. We're family. We just wanted you to grow up." Bella added, without meaning to, "I'm not 31 like you." Silence. I stood on the other side of the door, my hand on the lock, feeling something in me settle into a calm I hadn't had in years. "No," I said. Mom's voice tightened. "Jessica." "No," I repeated. "And you're not coming in." Bella's voice rose. "You can't do this to me." I exhaled slowly. "I'm not doing anything to you. I'm just not doing it for you anymore." Bella's voice cracked. "I won't be able to study." "You'll figure it out," I said. And yes, I meant it the same way they meant it when they left me with a move-out note. "You're an adult too," Mom snapped. "Don't be cruel." I almost laughed. "Cruel," I said. "You left a note where my 7-year-old could find it." Dad tried, quieter. "Jess, please." I kept my voice steady. "You don't get access to my child anymore. No contact. Not with me. Not with Grace." Bella made a choking sound. "You're ruining everything. You ruined your own plan when you decided I was disposable." Mom's sweetness vanished. "You're being dramatic." I smiled to myself, because of course she said it. "No," I said. "I'm being done." And then I opened the door, just enough to make it clear I wasn't afraid of them, just uninterested, and I pointed down the hallway. Leave. For a second, Bella looked like she might cry, like she genuinely could not process someone refusing to rescue her. Then Dad turned away first. Mom hissed something under her breath. Bella stared at the door like she was trying to force it open with entitlement alone. Then they left, and the hallway went quiet. Not empty quiet, peaceful quiet. I locked the door, and I walked back to where Grace was coloring at the table in our new living room, humming softly to herself like the world finally made sense again. About 2 months ago, my phone lit up with Mom again, and I almost didn't answer because I already knew this wasn't going to be an apology. But something in me said, take it. Hear what they want this time. Because after everything they did, there was still one last twist I didn't see coming. It wasn't about Grace. It wasn't about apologizing. It wasn't even about Bella. It was about the house. They needed my signature again to refinance or avoid a payment jump on the mortgage. I'd co-signed it 5 years ago, back when helping families still sounded like love instead of a warning label. Mom called it just a signature, like my name was a free stamp. Dad kept saying, it's nothing, like nothing ever becomes something until it's happening to them. They said if the payments jumped, they couldn't afford it. They said they might lose the house. And I won't lie, hearing that did something to me. Not guilt, not triumph, just this quiet, brutal irony. The same people who left a move-out note for a child to find were now asking me to save their home. I told them no. That was the last time I heard from them. And I'm not going to pretend I know exactly how it ends for them, whether they found someone else to hold the weight or whether the whole thing finally collapsed like it always should have. All I know is what happened next in my house. Grace slept through the night. No shaking hands, no fear, just peace. So what do you think? Did I go too far? Or not far enough? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more.